Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Madare, and I represent Latvian Life Help Desk, and I will moderate today's event. We are happy to have you join us for discussion on the Clear Energy Transition sub-program today, and hopefully our session will provide valuable insights into the possibilities offered by this program. And I'm sure some of you already have some insights from last year's call. It is an honor to have with us Pierre-Antoine Vernon from CET, who will share his expertise today. And in case of any questions or technical issues, please write it down in the chat. Or actually, in case of technical issues, feel free to turn on your mic so we could fix the issue faster, because in the chat it just might get lost. Now, without further ado, I think I will give the stage to our lecturer.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Do you hear me correctly?
Yes, all is well.
Okay. I'm now sharing my full screen, so I cannot see the chat or anything else, only the slides. So if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to interrupt me, or maybe I can stop sharing the presentation and we have a question and answers session after the presentation, as you want. Okay, yes, my name is Pierre-Antoine Vernon. I am a project officer at CET, working on the Life Clean Energy Transition Program. It is a program intended to support the implementation of European policy in the field of the clean energy transition. So our bigger framework is the EU Green Deal, with this ambition to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of the European Union by 55% in 2030, if you compare with the values of 1990. To this aim, the European Union has adopted a Fit for 55 package, which is a revision of the main pieces of legislation that are constituting the framework of energy policy at European level. So the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Directive had already been adopted, I think, at the end of last year. And recently we had, in May, in April, I think, the publication of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. So now let's say the framework is complete. And the member states have 2 years to implement them, and the Commission, DG Energy, is currently busy developing guidelines for the implementation of these directives, including in Latvia. So just to give you a bit of more detail about the framework, we have actually our program is a bit competing with the Next Generation EU and the Recovery and Resilience Facility that has provided a lot of funding in support of the energy transition following the COVID-19 epidemics. So this funding is channeled through national through member states. The Commission has also adopted a strategy called Repower EU to phase out dependency on Russian fuels following the Russian aggression against Ukraine. And concretely, the effect is to further increase the ambition of the different parts of the Fit for 55 package. And the latest item in this policy framework is the Net Zero Industry Act, intended to scale up manufacturing capacity of net zero technologies in the EU. So I've showed this slide last year. It is, I hope, a graphic way to understand what our program is doing. So at the very bottom of this iceberg, you have, let's say, the more long-term and basic research that is supported in CET by Horizon Energy, actually, it's mostly applied research, but some basic research is also supported. Then what we are also doing in the agency is to prove the viability of technological concept. It can be funded by Horizon, by the Innovation Fund. In our case, the European Maritime Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund is not relevant. What we do in Life Clean Energy Transition is not to work on technology. It is on we work on removing barriers on the adoption of clean energy technologies that are supporting the energy transition. What we do not do is to support the actual deployment of these technologies, which is done by our colleagues from the Connecting Europe facilities, Strand Energy. So here is another picture of what we fund. One of the items that I forgot is the just transition mechanism. It is the newest tool that we have to support the clean energy transition. It is mainly intended for the public sector, and it works as a loan facilitation scheme. So just well, say it again, we in the Life Clean Energy Transition Program, we try to improve the conditions for the uptake of technologies that can accelerate the clean energy transition in Europe. So we want to break the market barriers and change the market and regulatory fundamentals. So this is, for example, what we do on mainstreaming innovative finance or on one-stop shop. We want to mobilize investment and improve access to finance. This is what we do, for example, with the financial roundtables. We want to put citizens at the center of the energy transition. So this is what we do, for example, with our topics on energy poverty, energy communities, and yes, also on one-stop shops, because they are intended to support individuals willing to make renovations and to improve the governance and capacities in the countries to in support of the energy transition. So this is just an overview of what we have funded in the call 2023. You can maybe remember that altogether we spent a little bit more than 100 million euro on 61 projects from 29 countries. And I do not have the precise figure on Latvia for that call, but I will present some projects involving Latvian entities at the end of this presentation. So the first strand that I would like, well, the first cluster that I would like to touch upon is citizens in a clean energy transition. The European Green Deal sets out to ensure an energy transition that is socially just and inclusive. So it means two main actions on our side, on household energy poverty and supporting energy communities. So on energy poverty, the Fit for 55 package, and in particular the energy efficiency directive, prioritizes energy efficiency measures for energy poor and vulnerable households, even more than before in the recast EED. So in this context, in 2024, this topic will focus on supporting the renovation of multi-apartment buildings through adapted decision-making structures, supporting public authorities in the effective implementation of energy poverty-related provisions of the EED, supporting societal intermediaries and public authorities in building the capacity for setting up a long-term coordination structure to mitigate energy poverty. And the fourth item is supporting the obligated parties under the energy efficiency obligation schemes to deliver energy efficiency measures to energy poor and vulnerable households. So this was for energy poverty. We are also going to continue our support for energy communities this year. So the topic intends to foster the collaboration between the local regional authorities and energy communities. As part of the Repower EU plan, the role of energy communities in the energy system is expected to grow. For instance, the EU solar strategy also has defined a target of at least one energy community based on renewables in every municipality with more than 10,000 inhabitants by 2025. So local governments are uniquely well placed to support this development by creating and enabling the framework for these communities and addressing the problems in their development. So the strategies to develop energy communities, they vary depending on the specific context in each territory. For example, some public authorities may want to directly set up an energy community themselves, while others may decide to create one-stop shop structures that will support the setting up of private energy communities, whichever wants to emerge, or procure public services and products from energy communities. So the proposals under this topic should focus on setting up energy communities that are led and supported by relevant public authorities, aimed at supporting the achievement of local and regional policy objectives, and engage citizens in investment and decision making. So this is one of the possibility, one of the items. The other one is to develop services for energy communities, for example, one-stop shops or other facilitation structures to supply technical support to energy community projects by reducing the complexity of the process, simplifying the decision making, and stimulating the execution of the project. So the next cluster is on the decarbonization of buildings and heating and cooling. The first item is on the energy performance of buildings. To yeah, to, even the focus here, I think, is not clear enough. That is on deep renovation. So the idea is to create the conditions to make renovations faster, deeper, smarter, and service and data driven. Yeah. So only that. It aims to help implement the current and the future buildings policies, notably in view of the revised Performance of Buildings Directive, which has, for example, introduced building renovation passports. So there are two main aims in 2024. One of them is to facilitate deep renovation. That means stimulating the volume and the demand of deep renovation, for example, by developing business models for large-scale renovation, aggregating demand, and rolling out tools to be introduced by the recast Buildings Energy Performance Directive, such as the Buildings Renovation Passports, or by improving the coordination of the supply chain. Another strand, another scope of this topic this year is on better building data. So here it stems from the need for quality data to make verification and financing more robust and to help deploy services that valorize building energy efficiency and smartness. Now moving on. Oh no, I think I forgot. Sorry, I forgot heat pumps. So heat pumps represent one of the key technologies to meet the 2030 EU energy and climate targets. So it's highly prominent, for example, under the Repower EU and the 2030 climate and energy targets. So the topic aims to tackle the barrier of high upfront costs for heat pumps purchase. So enabling, in order to enable a large-scale rollout of heat pumps installations. So the topic has two distinct scopes. One of them is focusing on buildings. So It is supporting the development, the testing, and replication on the ground of alternative business and delivery models, for example, heat as a service models. The second scope focuses on industry with a focus to facilitate the collaboration between industrial actors sharing similar process and energy-related needs with heat pump technology manufacturers and providers to develop new standardized approaches. And on district heating and cooling, the topic aims to support district heating operators and also owners to prepare and implement the investment plans in order for the heating and cooling systems to fulfill the criteria for efficient district heating and cooling that is defined in the recast Energy Efficiency Directive. So, in other words, it aims to prepare the ground, the ground for a growing share of low-temperature renewable energy, for example, from solar thermal, ambient energy, or geothermal sources, and also waste heat, including supported by heat pumps into existing district heating and cooling systems. Now, for the third cluster, maybe I was fast because it's one of my topics of interest, on the construction of renovation skills. The Build Up Skills initiative is supporting innovative approaches for upskilling and reskilling building professionals across Europe to deliver efficient building renovations that enable to reach a high level of energy renovations and up to the nearly zero energy buildings. So the main objective of the topic is to increase the number of skilled professionals at all levels of the building design, operation, and maintenance. The support is provided this year for all types of professionals, so the so-called blue collars and white collars, and also for professionals active in other sectors than building renovation. So the proposals this year can address skills related to quite a varied array of thematic areas. For example, key provisions of the energy performance of buildings directive, building decarbonization, energy systems integration, heat pumps, one-stop shops, so skills for the energy advisors who work in one-stop shops, and on-site trainings. This is the novelty this year, the focus on on-site training of professionals. So the scope B also aims to create a thriving community of practitioners actively involved in upskilling activities for building professionals. So it means an exchange initiative between projects working on skills that are funded by the EU in order to support the large-scale rollouts and all other successful approaches across Europe. In this cluster, there is also a topic on supporting the clean energy transition of European businesses. So businesses, and in particular SMEs, play a significant role in accelerating the clean energy transition. Their role is recognized in the EED recast, and which introduces, for example, improved obligations on energy audits and energy management systems, and introduced for the first time the concept of multiple benefits as a necessary support tool for SMEs. So the topic unfolds in two different scopes. The first one is the green leap forward for businesses. So this scope, the scope A, is exclusively policy oriented. It is to support member states to strengthen their collaboration under the Article 11 of the Energy Efficiency Directive. The applicants need to primarily define a common approach for the identification of companies falling under the scope of the obligations for energy audits and energy management systems based on their energy consumption. The scope B of this topic is to foster collaborative approaches between companies operating in the same value chain or among companies that are physically close, for example, in industrial parks. So under this scope, the proposals should focus on fostering the market uptake of energy efficiency measures and the use of renewables, for example, heat pumps, through the establishment of collaborative approaches among companies. The applicants can also focus on collaborative approaches and between large and small companies in the same value chain, for example, or energy cooperation among companies that are physically close. Under this scope B, the energy cooperation and the collaborative approach mean that companies working in the same value chain and holding business relations. Yeah. The fourth cluster of topics for this year includes policy-related actions at national, regional, and local level. One of them is the clean energy transition in municipalities and regions. So it is a topic dedicated to cities and regions to support their efforts in delivering and implementing the clean energy transition. There are three main ways to do so: to deliver extensive and in-depth capacity building programs for policymakers and for the staff of public authorities in the implementation of plans and actions in the field of clean energy transition. The second way of doing so is to to develop and pilot integrated approaches to help municipalities to come up with heating and cooling plans which align with the carbon neutrality goal of other sectoral policies. The third way is to create or reinforce organizational structures to mainstream, the carbon neutrality goal and coordinate the implementation and monitoring of integrated clean energy transition plans and strategies, facilitate effective exchanges among different governance levels, and engage stakeholders. So the second topic is facilitating when it comes to key legislation, which is the second topic. The focus is on the direct support, mainly from member states, for the implementation of the three main pieces of legislation that I've mentioned in the beginning of the presentation. This topic is, as you understand, more relevant than ever, since we are in the context of the implementation of these three directives. So any project in this field will have a lot of impact on its member states, on the member states that are targeted. So, for example, a typical project activity is to support the policy design and implementation, the adaptation to national contexts of some provisions, and monitoring and evaluation of the measures. The third topic is on the real-world energy consumption of energy-related products. So here it's related to eco-design and eco-labeling policy. So harmonized standards, for example, describing measurement methods that are used for these two pieces of legislation on eco-design and energy labeling are not always representative of the present technology and the actual energy consumption in real life conditions. So the topic aims to improve the understanding of the actual impacts of these EU rules by implementing on-site measurements in households, including products that are simple to measure, for example, refrigerators or cooking appliances. having representative samples and a good geographical coverage, and investigating the determinants that have the most influence on energy use, for example, thermostat setting of a refrigerator. So the fifth cluster is the investment facilitation at local and regional level. So here it overlaps a bit with the previous cluster. One of the topics, sorry, is the so-called one-stop shops. But rather than than this word that we use for convenience, here we mean integrated service for buildings, for building renovation by homeowners mostly. So the idea here is to address challenging segments, for example, private homes, condominiums, large rental units, or small businesses, which are all characterized by having multiple single decision makers. Many of the owners lack the skills and capacity to set up, implement, and finance complex and ambitious renovation projects. So this topic aims to remove those barriers through integrated services that make the life and the renovation process simpler for all these actors, reducing complexity, simplifying the decision making, and stimulating demand. So the focus is for one-stop shops, the so-called one-stop shops, to be designed, implemented, operational, and tested by the end of the action, because one-stop shops are more and more mature across Europe today. So this year we will address three main scopes: the residential sector, the private rental sector, and businesses. So the public sector is no longer addressed because it's addressed in a separate topic now. So the call 2024 is different from the previous year. It sets a higher level of ambition for one-stop shops with three essential priorities. So the priority for regions with lesser activity so far. So typically, regions and member states that have that where one-stop shops do not exist yet. The priority goes to full service offers, so not just advice and summary of legislation, but going up to the quality assurance of the work, and perhaps a support in finding financing for homeowners. And there's not clearly for this topic, digital one-stop shops will not be enough. It will improve at least some physical interaction with the customers. The second topic is on the facilitation structures for the renovation of public buildings. As I said, it is now a separate topic. So the recast, why is it a separate topic? Because the recast energy efficiency directive has put much more emphasis on the exemplary role of the public sector to deliver on energy efficiency targets. It was one of the sectors targeted under the previous framework. It was noted that the public sector was not as efficient in implementing renovations as the other sectors before. So for this round of legislation, the focus is on the public sector. So the Articles 5 and 6 of the EED are now requiring annual energy savings and renovation of public buildings, also at local and regional level. So that will increase the pressure on local authorities to deliver energy efficiency products, for example, the renovation of their own buildings. What is new is that we are supporting the setup of facilitation structures for accelerating the renovation of public buildings. So it's successful. There is rather a distinct group of projects to complement the other actions in other areas. So we are looking especially for projects to establish and operate regional facilitation structures covering a larger territory and offering a comprehensive, all-inclusive service from technical, financial, and legal advice, procurement, and quality assurance of work to the municipalities. And thirdly, under this cluster, we have one of our standard topics on project development assistance for sustainable energy investments. So it's one of the driving forces for supporting the mobilization of investments, operating in complementarity to the sister initiative ELENA. The essence of the technical assistance is fairly straightforward. This is funding to help public and private project developers in all of their practical steps to build and launch a concrete investment pipeline. It is a successful strand of our program with more than 60 initiatives so far. In the great majority, they develop their investments and even more, and they often trigger regulatory changes in the regions where they are active. So the proposal should demonstrate a clear showcase for a large investment, leveraging private finance, and demonstrate also ambition in energy savings and organizational innovation. So the focus is on public buildings, private housing, public infrastructure, for example, district heating and cooling networks, and urban mobility, industry, communities or services, as well as citizen-led renewable energy generation or building integrated and small-scale renewables and storages. So really, the scope of actions that can be funded under PDA is really broad. One of the essential features of project development assistance is the leverage factor. We expect proposals to deliver for every €1 million of EU funding, 15 million in energy-related investments. So we are giving money in order for it to be multiplied by at least 15 in terms of energy-related investments. And this requirement is 1 to 10 for PDA projects that are focusing on the renovation of residential buildings. The final cluster is attracting private finance for sustainable energy. So the topic aims to increase the amount of private finance allocated to energy efficiency in small scale renewables, so typically renewables in buildings. This year, the scope is to setting up innovative financial schemes to allow private finance to support sustainable energy investments. This can be, for example, energy performance contracting, and the variants of this approach are more innovative solutions, for example, tax on bill, on tax and buildings-based financing, which means that the debt is attached to the building and not to the energy consumer, and many other innovative solutions. The financing schemes that should be proposed under these proposals need to have a dedicated and clear focus on energy efficiency. They can also target renewables, but only in combination with energy efficiency. The proposals need to address both the supply of finance and the structuring of investment projects so that the financing schemes are operational by the end of the project, which means that they are ready to finance projects on a large scale. This is done for the 6 clusters. This year, one of the novelty is that Life Clean Energy Transition is testing one of the standard tools of the LIFE program, of the other strands of the LIFE program, I mean environment and climate action, by launching a so-called SAP, a Standard Action Project, targeting key transition enabling structures and actors. So the aim is to complement the rest of the actions under the Life Clean Energy Transition Program. So the difference between the rest with the rest of the topics is that while under the other topics you can receive up to 95% of EU funding for these actions. It is up to 60% of the eligible costs specifically addressed to support bottom-up actions by key actors of the EU energy transition. So the standard action projects are a flexible tool available to support actions from key commercial or non-commercial actors of the EU energy transition, which includes all sectors. They are preferably close to market, so applicants will be required to highlight specific market-related information in their application, for example, the planned production capacity, the reference market, and economic feasibility. For this year, the priorities will be to support local and regional authorities in establishing new energy agencies, to support energy service companies, which we call ESCOs, in piloting and rolling out ambitious investments and financial solutions for deep energy renovation of buildings, such as energy performance contractings or similar contractual arrangements. The third possibility is to support financial institutions, brokers, insurers, and other actors in developing and marketing financial products and solutions to finance investments. And the fourth possibility is to support EU manufacturers of net zero energy technologies to pilot and roll out innovative techniques and large-scale deployment of their clean energy solutions, in line with the Green Deal Industrial Plan and the Net Zero Industry Act. So as promised, after this long presentation of topics, sorry for that, I know it's a lot of information, I'm going to go through a few projects that include Latvian participants. So one of them is CET. So it's a project addressing the low uptake of the Covenant of Mayors and the slow development of energy and climate plans in Central and Eastern Europe. So it's bringing together 10 partners, as you can see, which includes Latvia, to promote the Covenant of Mayors and build the capacity of public administrations to develop the so-called CECAP. So as a result, plus 60, more than 60 municipalities in those 10 countries joined the Covenant of Mayors and developed their CCAPs. So the consortium developed it designed materials and tools to train more than 450 public officers, supported the organization of multi-level roundtables to engage stakeholders in this roadmap, the CECAP development, and developed 91 proposals to access financing and to implement the measures in this roadmap. In addition, they established a sustainable energy network for Central and Eastern Europe to increase communication, cooperation, and interaction between local public administration, stakeholders, and policymakers. So the project drafted lessons learned and recommendations on how to further expand the Covenant of Mayors in Central and Eastern Europe, and is followed up by a next project called CET Digit, which addresses the regional dimension of energy and climate planning. The second the second example that I want to show is not a project per se. It is the community of one-stop shop one-stop shops across Europe. So as you can see, Latvia is on the map with apparently one-stop shop in Riga, and so as you can see, not all member states are involved in implementing the one-stop shops. So it is a very positive development. Please do remember that this year the emphasis is on implementing one-stop shops in areas where there isn't one in the beginning. So there's not only Riga in Latvia, there is also Zemgale, Vidzeme, Latgale, and sure I'm forgetting a fourth one, but maybe you can remind me. So this is the European City Facility, but before that, I would like to also mention a project on local authorities and CECAP development called Own Your CECAP, which has a Latvian coordinator and is coordinating a quite ambitious project across 6 member states for CECAP development. We are also supporting the European City Facility. So what is it? It is actually yes, a facility, a financial tool, whereby we are supporting energy and climate strategies of across the EU and their financing and implementation. What we do is that we give 60,000 euro as a lump sum for technical support to formulate investment programs, and we set up a national support network across member states that is available in Latvian, and we have had so far more than 1,200 applications and 280 selected cities and 420 investments concepts. So the European City Facility is, as I said, a facility. We actually give this money to cities that launch their own calls. So please, if you are interested, register for the call alert with the next call expected in the fourth quarter and open to all EU member states plus Iceland and Ukraine. So before I finish, I would like to recap with you the main info about this call. It was published on the 18th of April. The deadline is on the 19th of September 2024. So with the summer months, actually not a lot of time is remaining. This time we have a little bit less funding available. It's only 81 million euro for 40 to 45 grants. We support mainly, like I've presented, policy-driven funding topics with detailed guidance. It is with the exception of the standard action projects, which is a bottom-up topic. For most funding topics, so the rule is minimum 3 eligible entities from 3 eligible countries, but on average, the number of partners is higher. We provide 95% co-funding rate, except the standard action project, for which we provide 60% co-funding only. And you should apply electronically via the European Commission's Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. In order to keep in touch with us, you can look at our webpage, the webpage of the LIFE program. You can seek advice in your country, for example, from your national contact points, who has kindly invited me to make this presentation. You can, of course, ask advice from CENEA at the email address that is here. You can stay informed by registering to our Clean Energy newsletter, and follow us on the various social networks where we are present. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention and open the floor to questions if you have any.
Thank you so much. It was really useful, since this topic, it has a lot of topics, this sub-program, and it's kind of hard to navigate all of them. We do have one question already. It's you touched on it, but maybe you can elaborate a bit further. It's what is the main difference between all of the topics and the new standard action project strand? Why such choice to launch this one separately?
why choose to launch this item? Well, we belong now to the LIFE program, and this bottom-up scheme, this bottom-up approach followed by the rest of LIFE is something that that was not familiar to us. So we wanted to give it a try to see if it attracted interesting projects. So here I must say that this year will be particularly important, because if we get good projects, then we might it will mean much about whether we continue or not. The main difference is that well, as you maybe understood from my presentation, it is a bottom-up scheme, so you are pretty much free to submit any proposal that you want in the areas that I've mentioned. So in the rest of our topics, we are rather prescriptive. For example, on renovation, we will ask for achieving deep renovation, maybe in with specific techniques, and yeah, having a certain number of requirements that are maybe a bit putting a particular frame that are maybe filtering the applicants. This standard action project is the chance to submit other projects that you might want to submit but do not fit in the rest of our topics. And of course, the difference, just to underline it again so that you're not surprised, is that we would be funding only 60% of the eligible costs. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think some of the applicants might not know that this section of LIFE program joined only like 3 years ago, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So there was a lot of differences, and now it's submerging a bit more. Do we have any other questions? If not, during this time, I would like to remind everyone that in Latvia, we do have a live help desk courtesy of our already concluded capacity project, and you are free to receive consultations, and we are here to help with events, with consultations, with any support that you might need. We do also have a lot of materials, and we can help you find project partners, since a lot of organizations from different countries are reaching out to us when they are looking for partners. So please feel free to contact me or my colleague Jans Weber. We have our contacts on liveprogramma.lv website. I think most of you already are pretty knowledgeable about it. And if we do not have any more questions, I will say a big thank you to Pierre. It was really useful, as last year as well. We really appreciate all of your help, since this sub-program is really quite something. And yes, I will post this presentation and the recording as well in our website. I think in 2 days. It will take time to process the video. Okay, no more questions. Then thanks to anyone who participated, and thanks again to Pierre. I hope to see you next year as well.
Yeah, it will be my pleasure. Thank you, and good luck with this year's applications.
Thank you, and goodbye.